One thing that I often think about is my partner's drive, their passion, their emotion, and their anger. I don't feel like I have what they have, but it inspires me to try to care more. See, the people I respect them because they care, and face adversity in their caring. This is a quality I have a hard time showing because I feel like my input won't matter, or it will never grow to scale, and that the adversity will prove to be not worth it. I will admit this is cowardly, and I'm afraid of a lot of things. The reason I want to do this whole quote-unquote YouTube thing is because I believe I have something to share, or the ability to entertain, if I ever have the drive to do it regularly. If I'm telling you the truth, I'm incredibly long-winded when I talk about stuff, and I'm a little intense or serious. As far as internet trends or popularity goes, I'm not the best suited for success. That said, I do want to be successful, not just for the sake of success, but for doing what seems like fun, plain and simple. For a while, I was very unsure of what I wanted to put into the world. I've loved video games my whole life, and it seemed like an obvious place to start. Video games do well on YouTube, and I'm good at video games. Voila, I have all of the pieces of the puzzle. I will probably be sharing some of my favorite games as I go along, but it's not the only thing I want to offer the world, and I don't have to offer one thing alone. I can do more. You see, I've got some idols. People I admire, as I mentioned, my partner is among these people. I've wondered about the influence of inspiration, and I think Nick from The Yard expresses my concern the best.
But like in that stage of early creation, you're just copying the people you see. You're trying to do something that you feel will get other people to care, and I think you create a version of yourself that in hindsight doesn't really look like you.
You see, I can't be myself if I'm emulating someone else for a view of where I think I should be, and I should be myself. However, I think inspiration is very important, and I aim to strive toward not what I think success looks like, but instead strive towards something that I'm proud of, and sharing what I actually am along the way. I want to share a bit about a few of my idols that I'm going to be drawing inspiration from. The first on the docket is Jon Stewart. He's funny, charismatic, incredibly passionate, and forthright. I admire his tenacity as a journalist and his expression of uncomfortable topics through the guise of comedy. He is an absolute master of his craft, and I hope to one day be even a fraction as skilled as he is at something. Above his skill and delivery as a comedian and talk show host, he holds his morality near and dear to his heart in a way that I'll find admirable above all else, with a brief clip to show what I mean here.
As I sit here today, I can't help but think what an incredible metaphor this room is for the entire process that getting health care and benefits for 9/11 first responders has come to. Behind me, a filled room of 9/11 first responders, and in front of me, a nearly empty Congress. Sick and dying, they brought themselves down here to speak to no one. It's shameful. It's an embarrassment to the country, and it is a stain on this institution.
To have someone stand up to the governing body of the strongest nation on the planet with words of righteous wrath is absolutely beautiful. I wish Jon nothing but the best, and I've learned a lot from watching him work. How he administers and handles his passion. Next up, continuing with the political theme, is Senator Bernie Sanders. I agree with his policy, but even if you don't agree with his policy, he is still a man to be admired. Senator Sanders attended a protest in 1963 at the age of 21 while he was in college. The protest was against something called Willis Wagons, a portable classroom named after the superintendent Benjamin C. Willis that was meant to segregate black and white students. He was arrested at this protest. Later, in 1993, there was a debate about whether LGBT individuals should be allowed in the military, with Bernie Sanders standing strong on the defense of LGBT individuals. Today, he stands against human suffering in the Middle East, proposing bills contingent on Israel following international accords and not violating any human rights. The only Democrat to vote against sending funds to Israel in protest of their attack on Gaza. and is the only major political figure I see recognizing the real grotesque reality of wealth inequality that my peers and I see clear as day, as shown here.
What makes me angry is the massive inequalities that exist. Look, a few blocks away from here, there are people sleeping out on the street. People are dying because they can't afford health care. And you got 3 people who own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. Nobody will ever convince me that that is morally or economically acceptable.
What do you say to the people who say that capitalism makes this the land of opportunity, and the people who have the most money have taken advantage of that opportunity?
I'm not saying that these guys are breaking the law. I'm just saying that as an American citizen, I think that massive inequality is absolutely immoral, and it's bad economics because it spills over to our political system, where these guys in their super PACs are spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to elect people who represent the rich and the powerful. It spills over to our economy, where in sector after sector, you have a handful of large corporations controlling what goes on and engaging in a lot of price fixing. So we need a vibrant democracy. We need an economy that works for all. We don't need a few people on top with such incredible wealth and power.
If you don't believe in all of his policies, you can, however, believe in his constant, relentless effort to do what he thinks is right in this country, for the people. He doesn't wish for change, he fights like hell to change minds and make it happen, and I respect that. Next, a very bizarre turn. Thor, aka Pirate Software. He is introspective and strives to have people chase their dreams and shares philosophy and wisdom in well-packaged clips.
What are the tips to stop negative self-talk? You have to remember something very clear. Your negative self-talk is caused by someone who knows how to kick your ass. They know where all the weak spots are. They know how to beat you because they are you. It's not a fair fight, so don't take it like it is. Nobody else sees that shit, just you.
As well as completely showing trade secrets and denying immoral sponsorships out of his own beliefs.
I've been contacted by gamer supplement shit. I've been contacted by energy drink bullshit. I've been contacted by Raid Shadow Legends. I've been contacted by all of these different companies, VPN companies, all this. And you know what I tell them every time? I tell them to go eat sand, because I'm not going to sell you something that I think is dog shit. Bullshit. All of it is bullshit. All of it. And I refuse to take their money because it's worthless. It is worthless.
His calm demeanor, impressive speaking, and delivery into more philosophical short-form content is very impressive to me. Pair that with an intact moral compass and a drive to help others' creative process, and you've got a good tonic of a person that I strive to be. Finally, another odd mention, albeit a worthy one, is DarkviperAU. He has a very firm stance against React content, and the impact it has on creator spaces as a whole.
Over the last few months, I've learned that very few people seem to understand why React content is harmful. Even among those who dislike it, their reasoning is often as simplistic as it's boring or it's lazy, while the real problem is much more insidious. Reactors are playing a game with our online creator ecosystem where everyone loses except the reactors themselves. The premise of this video is that React content is a system of exploitation that siphons an incalculable amount of money and exposure away from the hard-working into the pockets of the incredibly lazy. I'll be going over the topics that you now see on screen and looking at a bit of data in order to establish that this is undeniably true.
I agree with this message, albeit his delivery is a bit how I describe myself, long-winded and intense. I have no issue with long-winded, and I enjoy his ramblings, but as stated when talking about my long-winded tendencies, it isn't necessarily the best suited for internet success. He has tons of very entertaining and innovative GTA content, and I find his bulwark stance to reactors admirable. He has punched up at others in regards to React content in a way that the thought would horrify most other content creators. He's mentioned XQC, Moist Critical, Hassan Piker, Asmongold, H3H3, and Ludwig, some of the largest creators around. Now, there are others, and I'll use Ludwig, who I just mentioned, as an example that I admire but don't aspire to be. Ludwig owns a few companies, YouTube channels, he plays games, reacts, does commentary on pop or internet culture, hosts events and game shows. He is charismatic and has a large stage presence. These are all impressive and admirable, but not something that I could see for myself. As it is, I'm uncomfortable talking to a microphone, and even more uncomfortable being on camera. I don't think that'll change, and I even more don't think that I'll ever have the desire to host a game show. But in the same vein that I admire Jon Stewart as a master of his craft, I consider Ludwig to be a master of his craft. it just won't be Minecraft. So, what will Minecraft be? I'll probably ramble from time to time, long-winded and intense, as I mentioned. I may delve into philosophy or politics, and I certainly will have well-researched points of view before I ever consider putting anything out. But I'll also play games, because I enjoy them. Mostly old games from my childhood, or games I've missed out on in series I like or revere. And as far as future uploads, I've considered adding structure or a schedule, but that might break the kneecaps of my creative process. However, at the same time, independently finding the drive to make things without imposing structure may prove difficult, so who knows? The how will get ironed out as I do this more and get a feel for it. There will be more videos to come. Peace.